Hello, we're back. But this time, we're not climbing. That's because I think I finally came up with the name for this segment. How about Desert Tsunami, Touching Grass? You know, being a developer, going outside, not always in front of a computer. I think you get it. Today, we're going on a small stroll through the mountains while talking about today's topic. So earlier this week, Sony held their State of Play. There was an array of games there, but it's not so much what Sony showed during the State of Play I want to talk about. The real question is, what makes a AAA game a AAA game? Okay, I know this sounds like a crazy question, but this title is why we have a perceived decline in gaming. As a community, we spend just about all of our time only looking at the AAA games. Then when one of them fails, not exactly what a subset of gamers want, people start screaming from the rooftops, "The industry is dying!" Well, it's not dying. Games aren't getting worse. But we really need to define what a AAA game is before we get any deeper into this. So, if there's a AAA, there's clearly a AA and a single A. The way most people see this, indie games, that's a single A. AA is better than an indie, not as good as a AAA. And then a AAA is all the money, all the people, all the tech. AAA, get it? That's basic and a very rude breakdown, but that's what it is. So let's pivot just a bit and talk about the studio instead. It goes very much the same, but I'd like to add something to this. So we have indie, usually a single dev, maybe a team of 5. Small teams are a single A, somewhere between 6 and 15, I'd say. Then you have AA, slightly larger, team is between 20 and 50. And then you have AAA, which is 100 plus. So I saw this tree sitting here and looked around trying to figure out where it even came from. Couldn't find a stump, and as I was walking through here, I saw quite a few trees just felled over like this. There's no sign of where they came from, so I guess eventually I'll figure this one out. Alright, let's get back on topic. Now mind you, this is the team that is working on the game. This doesn't account for the megacorps that can work on multiple games at a time. This also doesn't count for the contractors. With that out of the way, let's look at the actual games themselves. So we have indie, or single A games. It's a game, usually low budget. You have AA, more polished. The game is a bit larger in scope too. And then you have AAA. Once again, all the money, all the people, all the tech. But here's the problem with AAA games. Just because you throw a bunch of money at a project and a bunch of people with the latest tech doesn't mean it's a AAA game. That title, AAA, isn't the game's worth. It's not the game's quality. It's a marketing buzzword aimed directly at the mainstream gamer. Okay, picture this. There was a time when there wasn't AAA games. There were just games. And then these two companies got together to make what is historically considered the first AAA game. Sony and Squaresoft, now known as Square Enix, got together to create Final Fantasy VII. Yes, that was considered the first AAA game. The tech was unlike anything we've seen before, the music was fantastic, and the marketing. We hadn't seen any kind of marketing campaign like that to that point. After that, we didn't hear much about AAA games. And then that term just came back, seemingly out of nowhere. All of a sudden, studios went from being studios to AAA studios that make AAA games. And we got games like Forspoken, The Veilguard, Concord. Then we had publishers saying, AAA studios are failing. If it wasn't the studios, then it's the players' fault the game failed. Look, I'm not here to point fingers. If you enjoyed any of these games, or another game that considered failed, then good for you. Shut out the publications and shut out the people arguing online over whatever it is they're arguing about. Honestly, I lost track a few months ago. So at this point, my adventurous nature got the best of me, and I decided to go straight off the beaten path. In some cases, that was a mistake, but I found a lot of cool things up there. We'll talk about how that became a mistake a little bit later, but it was still fun. The point with this is, the term AAA is just a marketing ploy to suck people in, and the publications aren't helping at all. Is Expedition 33 a AAA game? Yeah, I'd say it is. Was A Plague Tale a AAA game? Yeah. What about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? Yes. Silent Hill 2 Remake? I mean, yeah. Don't get me wrong. I love the remake of Silent Hill 2. So, what makes a AAA game? Is it the money? No. Is it the amount of people that made it? Not really. Is it the studio that made it? Clearly not. It's something else. A quality or a magic that I can't quantify. Just because a studio is a AAA studio doesn't mean it always makes AAA games. That's why I broke it down earlier. Can a AA studio make a AAA game? Yes. A Plague Tale exists. But just because a studio is AAA doesn't mean it only makes AAA games. Let's go back to the studio that started this mess. Between Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Final Fantasy XVI, I'd say Rebirth was the better game. It had something that I can't put my finger on, but I'd say that was a AAA game. Final Fantasy XVI had the big team, had the big budget, but it was just missing something, for me anyway. Clear Obscura has the same thing. A Plague Tale, even the first Life is Strange. Hell, I'd go as far as say as Gris is a AAA game too. You see, what I'm saying here is a AAA game isn't its budget. It's not the size of its team. It's what that game can do for the individual player. Games are two things, art and business, but they are art first and foremost. And where someone might say that a Rembrandt is a masterpiece, another might say, nah, I like this random guy online. Now he makes masterpieces. Does it mean that either piece of art is bad? No. It means we like different things. The term AAA feels more like some fat cats in suits almost demanding we like their game because look how much it cost. I don't care how much your game costs. I'd play The World Ends With You before I play something that I'm being told that I have to like just because it's AAA. I decide what is AAA, as do you. Not the IGNs, not the gamer, not the consultant companies, or the trolls online, the person sitting there playing the game, enjoying it. They decide if that game, if that piece of art is worth calling AAA. And I think studios would do best to remember that. Okay, so at this point, I realized I was lost. Funny story, I ended up some 2 miles further up the mountain than I intended, and about 1.5 miles away from where I parked. And I wandered around for quite some time until I was able to figure out how to get out of there. By the time I got out, well, you'll see. You know, it's been said in this current culture war in gaming, and it's probably the one thing I will agree to. A game made for everyone is a game for no one. Sandfall made a turn-based RPG. They knew who they were aiming for. If others came in, great, but they knew what they wanted to make. Gris was a highly emotional game with no dialogue, and they made the art they wanted to make. It touched quite a few people. Was it for everyone? Definitely not. But for those it was for, it was a AAA game. So after a while, I found a road, the road that leads up to the parking spot, and decided to just follow that back to my car. I did have this clip where I fell flat on my ass. Well, at least I thought I did. I couldn't find it, or I wasn't recording at the time, but if I find it, I might have to share it on my Instagram. So anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. What makes a AAA game to you? With that said, the Kickstarter just launched today. So if you want to go support me over there while I'm working on Vita, the Ember Oracle, and the YouTube, head over to Kickstarter and search up Desert Tsunami or Vita, the Ember Oracle. If you like what I'm doing here, please like, subscribe, and share. I'm trying to get the channel to 50 people by the end of June. So, until next time, keep playing and keep active. Bye for now.